Testing.
Good evening. Today is Monday, October 20th, 2025. We are at the Green Ladle and we will call the meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. We will start school committee member introductions with Ward 6, Member Hurd.
I'm all by my lonesome down here today. Megan Hurd, Ward 6.
Iman Asman, Ward 5.
Craig Charpentier, Ward 4.
Elizabeth Eames, Ward 3.
Phoenix McLaughlin, Ward 1.
Megan Parks at large.
Jake Langley, Superintendent.
Karen Paquette, Assistant Superintendent.
Thank you. Agenda item number 3 is the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that members would like set aside? Seeing none, the consent agenda is adopted. Agenda item number 4 is public input. Members of the public may address the school committee for up to 3 minutes on non-agenda items now and on agenda items later. Speakers must adhere to our public comment policy, BEDH, which is available at the back of the room or on the LPS website. These meetings exist to conduct school committee business. The purpose of public comment is to share thoughts on school and educational matters. Committee members and school staff will not reply during this time. Comments must be directed to the chair and be civil. By law, comments may not pertain to specific staff or students. Comments about individuals must be directed privately to the appropriate LPS staff. Student privacy must be maintained. The public comment period is 30 minutes unless extended due to unusual circumstances. Priority goes to Lewiston residents and parents, students, and employees of LPS. Before starting, please state your name, town or city of residence, and affiliation to LPS.
Matthew Egren, Ward 4. I have some thoughts for you all. We spend much of our children's classroom time teaching them, unfortunately, for the test that's coming next. What this means is they become performers who memorize and recite back the answers, yet may have lost the skills and ability to question things or reason out things for themselves. Why? Because they're not being able to taught to question what is being taught or how to. This means what we're teaching, unfortunately, is good little worker drones, as they've been taught to listen to those in power to know what to do next. They've been taught to follow the rules and obey, but not to question what they believe their convictions are. They know what it takes to score points on a test, but not how to make points if they have to make a debate. We need instead to teach our children how to think for themselves. So when they get into the real world, they can hold their own. I want a child to be able to tell me why and how they got to their answer, so we can have a reasonable discussion about it. So I don't feel that every disagreement with them is a sign of disrespect to them. Now, I'm not saying testing is wrong, because we need to make sure they're learning things. But the test itself does not prove that they truly mastered the subject before going on to the next subject. So we don't truly know. It's been brought up here multiple times. We have kids who test, maybe can get an A on, or whatever, 5, or whatever the grading system is. But when they come to the next time, they don't know what they've done because they've moved on and don't have the thought process on how they got there. We need to come up with a better system. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 5 is to receive an update on attendance data. Completely forgot to use this again.
So Karen's going to share a dashboard that some members of the team have been working hard on. But as you know, attendance has been an area of focus for us, where we feel like we're doing a lot of things in a good direction, but we still need people to come to school and be there and participate in their education. So she's going to pull this up and share some more information. really tonight is about giving you a snapshot and some numbers to be thinking about, because we want to do this on a regular basis so that we're keeping a pulse on our efforts and to see where we're landing. But I also want it to become more of a community conversation, the importance of being at school and participating the full day, and not just missing classes. So this is district-wide data, and Karen's just going to walk you through the dashboard.
So, as Jake said, I wanted to just share with you some data. I know that looking at data and seeing data and whether we're improving or not improving on goals is something we've talked a lot about. We have this amazing software with PowerSchool that allows us to look at data in a variety of ways. I don't have enough time tonight to show you all the ways we can look at the data, but we can definitely drill down to, school, race, number of days absent, grade levels, you name it, we can drill down to look at those things. So we have a couple different, we have an overview, this attendance overview that allows us to look at, so for example, you'll see at the top, it says the number of students currently enrolled, absent in the last 5 school days. Yesterday, the number of students that were absent, and then we have the ability, as I said, to look at the attendance of each student race. We have the ability to look at attendance rates trending by school year. What the reasons for the absences are. So absent unexcused. So absence unexcused is the tallest bar here. Illness is the second one down here. And then it goes in order of medical appointment, family obligation, suspended out, lack of access. So when a bus is canceled, something to that issue. Transportation is a separate, so depending on how a school is categorizing that. Restorative practices or restorative reentry or work that needs to be done. We also have this pie graph where it talks about what are the most frequent absence types. And I can't see because my thing is in the way. So again, absent unexcused is this biggest. So that's students that are absent and there is no reason for their absence that's given, or a reason is families haven't reached out, or we don't have that information on why the student was out. We can look at attendance trends by month, and this shows us, and I know it's small, we can always blow these up, but I just really want to give you an overview of what we have available. So we can look at those trends by month for the last, on this particular chart, the last 3 years. And then we can look at, is student attendance improving week over week? Again, by year, and we can compare ourselves from 1 year to the next. Again, average yearly attendance by school. And again, we're only 36 or 37 days into school, so we're comparing a whole year from years past to now. There's another screen here that I wanted to show you because this breaks down more of the larger chunks of data that we look at when we report out to the state, which is required by every school district. We need to look at tardies, we need to look at students who are truant, we need to look at chronic absenteeism. And those are really the areas we're focusing in on as a school, as a district and at schools, looking at trying to work with families around tardies, around truancy, and around chronic absenteeism. So we have the ability to look at this again, the year to date. This first box is year to date. The second box is the last 30 days of attendance. Now, again, I just said we've had about 37 days of school. So that's not a very big, that's not a very big, that's not a big amount of time at this point. And then there's another whole section here on tardies, which I think is something we as a community need to be mindful of. When you have 6,000 tardies in the past 30 days, that's a lot. That's a lot of tardies, in my opinion, a lot of missed time for students, whether it's 5 minutes or whether it's 3 hours. It's still a tardy. Truancy, this number is a little off in the sense that it says 59 students currently. That's actually a little high. This includes students who are actually not enrolled, but we haven't received word that they're not attending. So the actual number of students that are truant that we're actively working with families is much less. It's 20 or less at this point, which is, again, with only 37 days makes sense. And that changes every night. This data uploads every night. We have the ability to look at chronic absenteeism, and we can go as deep or as surface level as we need to with all of these pieces. This month-to-month overview is something that I asked our data folks to create for me so that I was able to look quickly and be able to share data quickly with whoever needed it. Our administrators have access to this information for their schools. We have Natasha Turcott, who is in this system daily, if not hourly, looking at who because we can drill down to the individual students. And she uses this information to help with supporting schools and families around attendance, looking to see who those students are, whether they're McKinney-Vento, whether they are students who have had illness or who have other reasons, or we haven't heard from the family and we don't know what the reasons are, and all of those things happen. So our hope is that we will, when we have a few more days of school, that we are able to do this on a every other meeting basis to look at the data and go into that data a little bit more in depth, but wanted to give you just a peek tonight so that you know that this data is available. And if you have specific questions or want to go deeper into something, I would just say let's look at that for a future agenda item, and either I can do that or we can ask our data folks to come and share that with you.
Member Hurd?
Thank you. So this actually makes me really angry because, and I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible, Lewiston as a district can only do so much if parents aren't being parents and aren't being responsible for getting their kids to school. So we can pull our test numbers and we can say we're going to improve graduation rate and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, but none of that matters if you don't get your kids to school. So it's no different than every single day when you have to get yourself up to go to a job. You don't show up on time, they're not going to let you keep your job. So it makes me upset because a lot of these kids don't have an option. They want to come to school. They want to learn. They want to be in a community. They want to belong someplace. And these parents are robbing our children of that opportunity and an education. And so until and it's not a district, us as a district, we can't hold these parents responsible, unfortunately. As a state, we need to be holding these parents responsible for not getting their kids to school. When you become a parent, you are responsible for that child. And you're solely lacking as a parent if you cannot get your kid up to school. And trust me, I get it. I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. And when I go and wake him up in the morning, he's like, Mom, I don't want to go. And I literally have to drag them. But as a parent, I know it's my responsibility to get him up and send him to school so he can get an education and be a productive member of society. So these numbers are great, but there's nothing that we can do as a district or at a district level until parents start stepping up and taking responsibility for their actions. So I don't know if that's a state thing. I don't know if somebody needs something, but and I know we've talked about this before about truancy. You can send something and the DA is going to maybe send the parents a letter, but it costs more to go to court and do the legal fees and write up the letter and send it and serve it to the parents, and they don't care. So what's it going to take for them to care? What do we do? Because we can say to the kids, like, okay, you don't show up, you don't get to go to sports. Well, you're punishing the kid when it's not really their responsibility. They can't bring themselves to school, or you're not going to get an extracurricular, or you're going to do this, or you have to stay after, or whatever. We're punishing the wrong person. And I don't want to say punishment, but like, we're holding the wrong people accountable here. Like, we can't force our students to get here if they have no way to get here.
Is the numbers on here, are they for truancy and absence, is that per class period or is it per day?
So the attendance that we're tracking for the most part is by its daily attendance.
So if somebody misses their first period class, but they're at school for the rest of the day, that gets counted as tardy.
Mhm.
But if they are absent all day long, it only counts as one absent, not multiple classes.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I'm looking at John to make sure. Yes, yes. And I just want to say a couple of things. Sorry, Elizabeth. Megan, remember heard your point is well taken in the sense that it is a whole community's responsibility to make sure our kids come to school. And we as a district also know that there are things that we can do differently and be more clear about. And that's part of why attendance has really become a big part of our work in terms of our goals. And one of the reason I wanted to say all of that to Principal Radke's point, we realized that we had made some changes with attendance, and I hate to keep blaming COVID, but we had made some adjustments when we were doing attendance in Power School, especially at the high school and some different things. And we realized we needed to adjust that, and we needed to be more clear with staff and with families and with kids about what the expectation was. I'm speaking just to the high school. That's true for everywhere. But we did make some adjustments in Power School, and hopefully the other thing is staff is busy, right? So remembering to do your attendance every period is sometimes it's like, oh, it's already 2:00 and I didn't do attendance for 3 periods. But we know that families are getting calls when kids are not in school. And I've witnessed it. I've heard parents say, oh, it's just school district again. My kid was really at school, but they didn't take attendance. That's not an effective communication system if we're not using it to communicate when kids are really sick or when kids are really absent. So we know as a district, we have work to do. But we also know that we need everybody's help because it's not all on us to do that.
Member Eames?
My question was really just definitional. The difference between truancy and chronic absenteeism isn't immediately clear to me, or maybe not the public.
Okay.
No, go.
Well, no, she knows all this. So chronically absent is 10% of days, no matter what the reason. So we've actually chatted with this beforehand. So we've had 37 days of school. And so any kid that's missed 4 days would qualify as chronically absent, missing at least 10%. Now, early in the school year, I mean, that could happen from a cold, flu, long weekend, whatever, that could happen. But the further along the year you get, if that number is increasing, you have a bigger and bigger problem of people just not going to school with any kind of consistency. And then the truancy language is actually built in the statute. You get into 10 days of total missed school. So it's like 3, 5, 7, 10 is our process. And then when you get to 10 is that component where Member Heard was mentioning there's mechanisms in statute, but nobody seems to move on that. And we're also, at least from our lens, we're also trying to activate that process and putting it out there for people. So I think we went through a lull where we said, we're not even going to call the district attorney's office or send that letter to them because nothing happens. We're not just going to send it. We're going to put it to a sheet with detail and say, this should all be on your radar. If they do something with it, I think that's a capacity issue more than anything, but at least it's taken all the steps we should take. I think also Karen mentioned the communication piece. Using that new tool, Reach My Teach, seems to be much more effective because it gives parents the option to let us know why their child is not at school right as part of the message. So it's not a follow-up phone call or a different task for people, and we're getting far better data about why people are not there, at least what we're being told. But I also think it's important to have a dashboard like this because it makes your mind wander with, well, I wonder if it's a specific group of kids or a specific area of town. And you might be surprised what we're finding, but I'm seeing a lot of absences from every single walk of life in our entire community, from the more wealthier families in certain parts of our town right to our families who struggle with poverty. The numbers are actually not vastly different.
Member McLaughlin, and then back to
So-
Parker.
Just on the previous screen, was that showing that, was it like 57% in grade 12 are chronically absent? Can that be right? What do you think that is? I mean, that can't be right.
So that lands into, they've missed at least 4 days of school so far,
For any reason. you
for
said.
any reason.
All right.
And it could be any mix of reasons. Could be sick for 2 days and then took 2 long weekends. And
Okay.
I know when, are you done?
Yeah.
When my daughter was a senior, there were certain periods she didn't go to school at all because she had all her credits. Would that fall under that or no?
nope. So we
Okay.
have a whole accounting process for that. Those students are late arrival, early release privileges. All that stuff is coming
Doesn't
out
fall
pretty
in.
soon. Yeah.
Member Heard?
Thank you. So the chronically absent, is that excused absences or unexcused?
It's a good question. So the chronically absent doesn't matter. It's just 10% of days. Yeah.
I just have follow up for that. So I didn't actually know this either, and I was a school committee member, and I actually messaged you about this, about getting like approval or whatever if your kid's going to be out. So like for my kiddo who would be in like a hockey tournament and we were going to be gone on a Friday, I had to previously reach out to administration and say, hey, my child is going to be out this day or this day, for whatever, and then that gets approved. It's not just like a quick call that morning, like, hey, Pearson's not coming in today because we're headed to Vermont. You know what I mean? And so and I think we had talked about like how that gets shared and what in different ways that gets shared. But I don't know if everybody knows that. So like that's also maybe like a good thing because some of these could be like kids that are out for sports or vacation or whatever, and it just,
So earlier, like one of the first slides Karen showed, I think, member Eames asked about what is that, the slivers there with the smaller print. So that's the reasons for people being out. So even if you're out for 10 days, or excuse me, for like today, let's say you're out for 4 days because you had a non-school affiliated event, you would still be considered chronically absent because you've missed at least 10%, even if it's excused. But yes, we do ask families, and it is written into state statute that if you are taking a family trip, you should request prior approval from the building administrator before that. And then what happens, it goes in usually as excused. So, and that would not be truant. So that's kind of the difference between the two versus someone like, we just don't know why they're not here. They're just truant from school.
One of the first things, I know at the elementary level, I believe the middle school and high school has done the same thing, but the elementary schools together with their own flair created sort of attendance flyers. And in the past, I don't think that was as clear on the flyers or the communications. And this year, they shared all of them with me and they all put something out there about needing to make sure you let somebody know and get that approval.
Member Heard?
Thank you. I'm sure Tasha's on this because she's like a super woman, but Do we know if there's any like grants and stuff that help with transportation for like our McKinney-Vento population? You know, like getting them to, other than what we're already offering for like busing and vans and like those types of things, like, is there extra dollars?
I can assure you there's no extra. In fact, last year, we're still breaking down different components, but we were very, very over on transportation. Some of that really specifically special ed and McKinney-Vento students and qualified enrollments. To the tune of like 1.2+ million dollars.
Any other questions or comments? Members of the public?
Matthew Gagnon, Ward 4. Could you get a little more in detail on the difference between lack of access and no transportation? And let me say, as somebody who works in the business community, our kids that are coming out of the school system tardy doesn't just apply here. Oh yeah, I'm here 30 minutes late. These are kids who graduated last year. They graduated the year before. Because they've never suffered penalties really for it, they think that's how the real world exists. So anything the school system can do to help teach them that you need to be on time would be a wonderful thing. Because otherwise, they're going to go through life thinking, I'm on time. I'm an hour late for my shift. Yeah, that's perfectly acceptable. It never penalized me at school. Why would it penalize me in the real world? Thank you very much.
We're good. All right. Agenda item number 6 is to receive and potentially vote on the first read of policies A through D. Is there a motion? Are there any questions? Is there a motion? Go ahead, Member McLaughlin.
Just why the big change in the volunteers one, since we, I think, just looked at that last year, right?
Some of these come from the Maine School Board Association. So I don't know if that's what happened in this one here.
I didn't see any.
I didn't put this on, sorry. Some of these come through the Maine School Board Association, and it's possible that's what happened in this case, Karen?
Yes, that's correct. There's a couple of there are a couple of pieces here that are a bit different. It really, what happened is, I think when I looked at it, we had most of the information. We had most of this, not a lot changed. It was just the format and where the information was placed within the policy. So Elizabeth is exactly right. There was a new sample that came out, and normally I'll look at the sample and say what makes the most sense in terms of keeping it the way it was, or to update it with either the format or a couple tweaks that might be there. So it looks like there's a lot of red lines on there, but most of the information was the same. It just was, the format was different.
Member Hurd.
Thank you. I'm glad to see like number 6 that talks about school committee members being able to volunteer if they're not primarily responsible. Because I think, well, myself, I was a parent and I enjoyed volunteering in the classroom. So I think I'm glad to see that in there, where before it was kind of like really frowned upon.
Any other questions, comments? Someone like to make a motion? Member Hurd.
I don't have my my second buddy here tonight. I would like to make a motion to approve the first read of the following policies listed A through D.
Seconded by Member McLaughlin. All in favor? It's unanimous. Agenda item number 7, to review and potentially vote on the second read of policies A and B. Member Hurd.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the second read of policies listed E through F.
A and B. Oh,
It says EF, I think.
think the revised agenda.
Oh, mine says AB. Okay,
AB or EF.
depending on your version of the agenda. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Well, just for clarification, for good process, you were looking at policies GBEC, substance-free workplace, and JIE, pregnant students.
Okay. All in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you for the clarity. Agenda item number 8 is report from the school committee chair. I do not have anything to report on tonight, so we'll move to number 9, the superintendent's report.
So the week before, last Thursday, we had a public forum here. We got some input on school committee goals and just school goals in general. Got some really good feedback. We're compiling that. And we are looking to get a draft back to you with those components to see if you approve that layer to send out to get survey feedback. But we do want to revamp a few things, at least based on feedback, to give you a chance to look at it. But the folks that were able to make it were very interested in providing feedback in each of the areas. We did it kind of workshop style where people went around, and it seemed like a pretty flowing environment. A couple members were there. Always looking for more feedback though, so we'll look for other ways to do that. So that's done. We haven't finished the summary piece to pull it back together because I took some days last week off, but more to come. Also, as a note, there was some questions that I received about Narcan, naloxone training for students. And just to reiterate to the public that is optional. That's been in place for a little while now. And we hold those trainings during non-instructional time after school, what have you. I think one of the questions was, is this tied to standards in a classroom and being taught, and kids don't have the option, but is very much optional for kids. And so we worked to clarify that. I worked with Principal Radke today on that, just some clarifications, and we'll make sure that we're repeating over and over that that's entirely optional for students and not during typical instructional time. And to be honest, I spent some time away last week in the North Maine woods, got some R&R, and I feel fantastic. So other than that, I'm just playing catch up. Thank you for your patience with not a huge agenda, because I wasn't around to build the supporting materials for it. But we're getting back to work.
Thank you. Agenda item number 10 would be our report from our city council rep, who is at another meeting tonight. 11 is subcommittee updates. Member Eames.
Well, we're continuing with the policy revisions, as you know, and more will be coming. I'm right now speaking as the liaison to, what am I called? The legislative liaison?
Yes.
So they just had the delegate assembly for the Maine School Boards Association, which I participated in and voted on, representing us as part of Region 6. So just so you know that. And then I will also be attending the chairs meeting. You couldn't make it. So I'm going to be representing us at the chairs meeting on Wednesday, and the conference for the Maine School Boards and School Management Association on Thursday and Friday.
Thank you. Any other subcommittees meet? Nope. Agenda item number 12 is any community announcements? No. Future, yes, Member Eames.
Yeah, it's still the unicorns, dragons, and mermaids. Oh my, a mythical creature party. This time, it's really coming now.
Yep, sure.
The 1st of November, 12 to 2 in Callahan Hall at the library. It's a fundraiser, but it's free.
Agenda item number 13, future agenda items. Member Hurd.
Thank you. So I had at the last meeting, I had talked about the flag and the Pledge of Allegiance policy. Why is that so echoey? Is it your?
Oh.
Is that Oh, Elizabeth's mic on.
Mine's on? Oh.
Okay. I'm like, why is it so echoey in here? Okay, so the flag and the Pledge of Allegiance policy I had asked to be set aside last meeting, so just so we could discuss that, if we can talk about that. And then also and I don't really know how this works or if we have anything in our like bylaws or like what we have. But just in the news, it sounds like that the city council is going to be making a decision tomorrow on our city council rep for the school committee. So I think maybe depending on that meeting or like what goes on, maybe we should be having a conversation about that. And I don't know if that's like an executive session or how that works, but you know, I think it's just worth having a conversation about.
Anything else? All right, agenda item number 14, to enter into executive session to discuss a personnel matter in accordance with 1 MRSA 4056A.
So move.
So, seconded.
All in favor? School committee's in executive session at 6:09 PM.